I think we're ready to go. I'll start the primary recording as well, and I will read the script. Welcome to the December 20th agenda for the Lunenburg Conservation Commission. In accordance with the requirements of the open meetings law, please be advised that this meeting is being audio and video recorded. The agenda lists all of the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and those that are reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. Please address all comments to the chair. This meeting of the Conservation Commission will be held by Zoom at the link provided. I will, for the purposes of live streaming, I'll say the meeting ID and passcode, but I would encourage anybody that wants to join us to do so, but go to the town calendar and download the agenda, because it's much easier to copy and paste the Zoom meeting link into a web browser, in my opinion. The meeting ID is 811-6128-6155. The passcode is 952513.
Mary, can I interrupt you for a moment?
Yes.
The stream code just failed. Can I be made host again?
Yeah.
2 minutes. I won't ask you to stop the meeting. I'll just put the new.
I'll just make you co-host. I think you get all the privileges then. Did that work?
No.
Okay. Let's see.
So 2 minutes.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll make you the host now.
Okay, yes. Thank you.
Okay. I will go to a roll call. Bob Pease.
I am here.
Rich Birsch.
Aye, present.
Jeff Viviano. Okay, and he did tell me he was going to be late. Mike LaRouche.
Here.
Chris St. Germain.
Here.
Very good. Thank you. All right. I think we have, well, we'll go to announcements first. Do we have any announcements from members of the commission? Okay, I'm not seeing anybody with their hand raised. For members of the public that have joined us tonight, welcome. Please, if you can, raise your hand. The order of protocol here is that we always, throughout the evening, we call on the commissioners first for the hearings, but there is a section for public comment before we conclude the hearing. You'll see in your Zoom window, if you're not familiar with it, there is a reactions pane on the periphery. If you select that, you should be able to find a raise your hand icon, and if you can't, you can put any type of icon up there, and I will recognize you. And if you cannot find those when it is time for public comment, just let me know, and I will call on you in order. So are there any comments from members of the public? Okay, and I'm seeing no hands. So with that, I will move on. I will move to the minutes of previous meetings. I believe we have two that are in the folder to review now, November 15th and December 6th.
I moved we approve November 15th.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote. Mike LaRouche.
Aye.
Chris St. Germain.
Aye.
Rich Birsch.
Aye.
Bob Pease.
Aye.
And I for myself. So that's the approval for November 15th. December 6th.
I move we approve December 6th.
Second.
St. Germain. Okay. Roll call vote. Bob Pease.
Aye.
Rich Birsch.
Aye.
Mike LaRouche.
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. That approves the December 6th meeting minutes. This list of backlog is getting smaller each time we meet, and that is due to the good work of Jane Rainley, which I very much appreciate. Next, we'll move on to our appointment hearings.
Mary, there's someone
Yes.
from the public with their hand up.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that, Bob. Had my head down reading the script. Kevin, can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself by name and address, please?
First, excuse me, my name's Kevin O'Brien. I'm one of the hearings. I think I hit that by accident, so I'm gonna take my hand down now.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Bob. I appreciate it. I was looking down at the agenda instead of up.
I know how that
Oh.
works.
Indeed you do. All right, so Lunenburg Parks Commission has requested an appointment to give us an update on the town beach. And I see Anna Lockwood on the call. Anna, is it just you tonight, or are there other members of the Parks Commission here with you tonight?
It appears to be just me for now, so we might have other people join, but for now it'll be me.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. And I want to say good evening to all the commissioners and the public. And before I start, I just want to make a comment that, you know, once in a while I catch your meetings afterwards on YouTube, and you guys do a lot of work, and I sure appreciate the work that you guys do. Not just the work in these very long meetings, sometimes going past midnight, but I see that with the short staff that you guys were bearing all the burden of site visits. So on behalf of the town and our environment, I want to say thank you. So the reason I'm here is during the summer, we requested, the facilities department requested a permit to put more added sand to the beach. And you guys approved that, and you also requested that we try to recover some of the sand. When we did the work, that was our request, that we could do both work at the same time. Otherwise, you know, it would cost the town more money. And also one of our biggest issue is, you know, we didn't want to delay the enjoyment of the town beach for the public. And the town beach is a very popular space for the town for recreation during the summer. We're only open about 7 to 8 weeks, depends. And this year, you all know, we had a lot of rain. And just for a point of information, because I know you all appreciate open space and the enjoyment of what we have, we had about 2,700 visitors at the town beach this year. Every time someone comes in with a family, you know, everyone gets scanned. So, you know, I just want to tell you that the impact that what you did by approving that sand was impactful, and it did improve people's lives, so which was what we were looking for. So I'm going to start with Chris Ruth, the facilities director. He sent me a report, and first I'll go over what he wrote. Over the summer, once we got the approval from Conservation Commission to add sand to the beach, we had Lakeview come in and scrape the sand and water's edge with their bobcat and redeposit on the upper section of the beach. They then added some of the new sand to the beach before finally using their rake attachment to smooth and grade the whole beach. Not only did this reduce the amount of sand we needed to add, but it also allowed us to give the beach a smooth, even surface that helped prevent further runoff from the road. On top of that, working with the team from the DPW, the town added a higher asphalt berm at the edge of the roadway along the town beach to prevent any spill over from the road water. Not only does this help with erosion, but also help prevents any oil contamination from flowing off the road into the lake. And this was a note that he had sent to me back in the fall. He wrote, "We have released Lakeview Landscape to do some additional sand reclamation work at Town Beach. This added work will include the use of a mini excavator with a wide bucket to pull back the sand from the water's edge when the lake is at its lowest water level. And in a little bit, while trying to avoid pulling any muck. The sand they'll put out to be stockpiled higher on the top of the beach so it can dry out. In the spring, they'll bring the bobcat with a rake to clean up the level and spread the sand again. And I'm gonna share with you some of the pictures that he sent. If I could share my screen?
Yes, please.
All right. And I'm just gonna do my desktop. And this was the first work that was done. This, you can see one thing with all the water, they weren't able to reclaim as much as they wanted. So this is the images from the summer because the water was so high. And that's the bobcat just coming and scraping the edge. And this is another one coming from the other side. And you can see this picture was before. You can see it in around this area here where some of the erosion was. And that's that's how the beach was looking before they did any work. And this is more of the beach after the work was completed. And just last week on December 12th, Lakeview came back and they did more work because now Chris said that it's at least close to a foot down at least. So they were able to reclaim more sand. So they brought the equipment back, and that's the sand that they were reserving on the top for hopefully spreading in the spring. So that's the work that was done. And when the commission came to you asking you to approve that sand, we said that we would come back and tell you the work that we did. So we wanted to make sure we did that more than anything. That was the request. And I have Karen Menard here who joined us for this meeting. So that's all my presentation, and I'll take any questions if you have any comments, and Karen is here to answer that too.
Thank you, Anna. I appreciate you ensure that you came back and gave us that update. I don't have any further questions. Do other commissioners have any questions that you want to ask of the Parks Commission?
No, I just want to say thank you for giving us the post work images. It's nice to see what was done. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Very good.
Okay. Well,
right,
thank
Anna,
you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I look forward to working with you guys. Hopefully we'll get Marshall Park going and some new exciting things will be coming up, and we'll, hopefully get more people out enjoying our outside, and because in the end of the day, it's great for everything. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, now we'll move along to new public hearings, but I do have a question. I saw some communications from our office that we were struggling with legal ads. Did we get the legal ads posted in time for the 22 Fairview Road hearing? We did? Yes, so we can proceed. Very good. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by John Potter for a garage addition at 22 Fairview Road. Do we have Mr. Potter or his representative here on the call tonight?
Good evening, Matt Morrow representing Jack Potter.
Hi, Matt. Welcome. Why don't you give us an overview of this project? And if you had materials, you would be welcome to share your screen. I'm just going to pause for a minute while you're looking. Mike LaRouche has his hand raised, so I'll recognize Mike.
Yes, Madam Chair. Is it Fairbank Road or Fairview Road? I have
It's
Fairbank.
It's Fairview Road. Should be there should be a revised agenda that was posted that corrects the typo of Fairbank to Fairview.
Thank you so much.
Matt, over to
Can
you.
everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, so the notice of intent is for a proposed attached garage to a single family home at 22 Fairview. It was issued a file number from DEP of 208-1314 with no comment. So essentially I had gone out and I had flagged bordering vegetated wetland that you see on the plan here. We have the 30-foot no-touch zone. There is a pre-existing shed in the zone, and we have the 50-foot no-build zone. So after I had flagged this, I worked with Mr. Potter. He originally wanted to do a detached garage, but after looking at obviously many different iterations of what a detached garage would entail, I think you could see by the placement of where the 50-foot buffer zone is, that just wouldn't be possible on the lot. So, giving Mr. Potter some time, he looked into adding it to the side of his house here as an attached garage. What you have right here is an existing enclosed porch with a carport that is currently on site here. He would propose removing that and putting up a proposed garage here, 36 long by 30 wide. The work would not entail any structures in the buffer zone, the 50-foot buffer zone. Obviously, it wouldn't go anywhere near the 30-foot zone. We have erosion protection set up to allow for work to take place around without any further intrusion closer, and that's basically it.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
One question that I had, so I didn't have the privilege of going and walking with the drawings. They weren't loaded in our shared drive, but Chris St. Germain and I did go walk the parcel on Saturday, and it looks like they have a really large trailer park, like right up next to the wetland, and kind of right under the note that says 22 Fairview. Yeah, that area.
Yeah, that'll be removed once this garage is built.
Okay.
The garage is going to house what's in the trailer currently, and that'll be removed.
Okay. So an improvement. That's
That
excellent.
was why he wanted the garage.
Okay, I understand. Okay, I don't have any further questions. I'll open it to other members of the commission if they have questions. I am not seeing any.
Madam Chair, I just can't find my hand button.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll call on you, Rich.
Just checking to see, Matt, have you been to is it the ZBA you're gonna have to go to for the setback?
So the side setback, I talked to Brian Gingrich, the building commissioner. It doesn't require like a variance. It requires like a special permit with a finding. He didn't seem to think it would be a big deal.
Okay. So you're gonna apply for that after
Yes.
this year? Okay.
Yeah, in fact, part of the filing as to why the attached garage would be placed there would be, I have different configurations of the plan when I was looking at it with my client to show that any other configuration on garage in a property, detached, basically wouldn't be able to be done because of, the wetlands bylaw. So, and the side setback isn't too bad. So Brian, I spoke with him about it at length a couple of weeks ago. He didn't seem to be too concerned that it would be a major deal.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rich. Any other questions by members of the commission? Okay, seeing none, I'll open the floor to see if there are any questions or comments from members of the public. And I am seeing none. What type of erosion control is proposed for this for the limit of work here, Matt?
Usually what I do with my clients is I propose nothing less than an 8-inch wattle compost sock.
Okay, and there's not it didn't look like there was a real sharp roll off there or anything either.
No, but even with a flat terrain, I don't like going any less than 8. 8's usually my minimum. 6 I usually find even on a flat surface does nothing.
Okay. Okay, I think I'm looking for a motion by the commission, maybe with a standard order of conditions. Or feel free to ask questions, commissioners.
I move to approve with a standard order of conditions.
Second,
Okay, a primary motion by Bob Pease and a second by Rich Birch. Go for a roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Rich Birch,
aye,
Bob Pease,
Aye.
and I for myself to approve this notice of intent with standard order of conditions.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Much appreciated.
Merry
Very
Christmas.
good.
Merry Christmas.
Hey. So we will go move into continued public hearings. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation by Kevin O'Brien at 390 Howard Street. And do we have Mr. O'Brien or his representative here on the call tonight?
I'm Kevin O'Brien, the applicant.
Thank you.
Matt Morrow also present.
Very good. So, I think the place that we may want to start with this is we conducted a site walk. Gosh, last week I think it was on this property, and yeah, noticed a lot of concerns, and we have a lot of questions. But I think I'm going to take a back seat and let Bob speak, because Bob, you kind of were spearheading that site walk. Sorry, put you on the spot there, Bob.
Sure. I had reached out to Matt, you know, saying we wanted to conduct a site walk during the week so that staff could attend because our new conservation agent does not attend site walks on Saturdays. And so he had arranged for a site walk, I believe it was Tuesday morning. And myself and Mary and Jeff Viviano went, as well as Brian Gengris, the building inspector, and Matt Merle, you know, Mr. Kevin's representative. And we walked around, we looked for wetlands flags, because I had been assured by Jamie Rowe that all of the wetlands flags from the 2008 delineation had been rehung, had been survey located. And we found two different sorts of things. Number one, all the wetlands flags had not been rehung and survey located. And two, we found wetlands flags hung on blades of grass and pieces of goldenrod. And then three, you know, there were large areas, you know, where there were no wetlands flags, you know, at all from 2008. The other thing we found is that, you know, a lot has happened, you know, this wetlands delineation, you know, that was done before what happened in 2008. And so obviously that's 15 years ago, and a lot has happened up there. There's been a lot of activity. And it was pretty clear that wetlands have been disturbed, and some of the wetlands that existed in 2008 are no longer there. And there's been new wetlands created since 2008. And so, you know, and there was a lot of evidence, you know, of some pretty dramatic erosion. You know, after visiting the site, you know, it's my belief that we should ask Mr. O'Brien to have his engineers survey locate all of the 2008 wetlands flags on permanent stakes, you know, not hang them on pieces of grass and stuff. And that would be step one. And then step two, to take and have the wetlands redelineated under today's conditions, because, you know, we saw some pretty dramatic instances where the wetlands have been altered, you know, and they're not in the same place anymore. And after those two things have happened, you know, then we can step back and take a look at you know, the differences and go from there. And that's about what I have to say, Madam Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob. I'll just reiterate that what you articulated that we found is consistent with my observation of the site as well.
And I also I noticed on the way out there was a sign on a tree which revealed to us that there had been a stormwater permit issued, I think by the EPA, in conjunction with an enforcement action, but that really doesn't have anything to do directly with wetlands, although, you know, indirectly it has to do with wetlands, but it's not really within our purview, but I just thought people should be aware, you know, that existed, so.
Thank you, Bob. Do we have questions or comments from other members of the commission? Okay, I'm seeing none. Do we
Mary,
have, yes, Bob.
I just wanted to mention one other thing.
Sure.
In the absence of any staff, this all initiated at a time when we had no wetlands agent and we had no land use manager. And Mr. O'Brien's representative, Matt Morrow, said, you know, we had said to indicate, you know, we wanted a third-party review. And so in the absence of any staff, I reached out to Richard Harris, who is a consultant, you know, for our land use manager, and in lieu of a land use manager. And he gave me the names of two consulting companies, and I reached out to both. You know, both submitted quotes, which I then shared with Matt. And Matt asked me if he could contact one of them. At the time, I said yes. But I just wanted to mention it since that time, someone brought it to my attention that I probably, in my naivete, shouldn't have said yes, because the consultant works for the town, not directly for Matt, you know, or his client. So I just wanted to also mention that had happened, you know, under the, you know, rubric of full disclosure.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Rich, you have your hand up. You have the floor. And Rich, you're still on mute.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been a lot of grading on the site as well. So the plan that was submitted has a little bit of this and that and an existing cart road here or there, but I don't think it adequately shows the amount of site work that's been done on the site. If we can have that updated as well as the wetlands.
It's a good point. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, to have the plan updated to show the amount of site work and where the site work's been done, and definitely where the material's staged.
Yeah, as far as is in our jurisdiction, of course.
Yes, of course.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Matt or Kevin, did you have commentary?
Well, I'm Kevin O'Brien, of course, I'm the applicant. Matt and I have talked about this a few different times. I was told that you couldn't find flags out there when you went out on the site visit. down on, I'm gonna move my iPad here a little bit and just give you a little view of the plan. Hopefully I don't screw it up. But this is the site plan. It's a smaller scale, but if you look at the series of wetlands flags that I went out and looked at today, because from what Matt and I talked about, this is the area where there was 2 crossings that you couldn't find any flags out there. Today, I went out there and located 5 different areas that have flags on them. This area right here, which is close to the Howard Street, is the 1800 series. This section right here next to Howard Street is also, next to Howard Street is the 21 and the 2200 series. This piece of wetland right here, the 500 series, this straddles my property and what is the owner is Austin Flagg, who owns this now. Then these 2 areas right here, one is the crossing that is proposed or had been proposed before, which is series number 1900 on the top side and 22,000 on the bottom side. And then up here, what would be the second wetlands crossing was series 1300 on the top side and 1400 on the bottom side. From what I understood talking to Matt, this side you were able to find everything over here. I want to be corrected on that just to make sure I didn't miss anything. What you were just talking, one of the members was just talking about is this is all the area that's been cleared up top. You've got some areas that have been cleared out before for what would be considered roadways at some point. I think all this area that was up here was more than 100 feet away from the wetlands. Just to be clear, the EPA, I do have a stormwater permit on this. The EPA was out here last December, reviewing this site. As the EPA told me, they fine everybody, and what they fined me for was because the piles weren't stabilized. Other than that, they didn't have any problems with where we were in regards to the wetlands. I don't even know if that's their jurisdiction, but I just assumed, let you all know about that. I don't know if they even notify you guys about it. But again, what was talked about with the clearing is all this area up in here. That was pretty much cleared. There are some trees up there. I want to make sure we're on the same, excuse me, the same page as far as the area that you didn't have the flags. Those 5 sections that I just pointed to today, I spent 3 hours out there walking all 5 of those lines to make sure those flags were there, and they were. So I guess my question is, where might the flags, we're talking about flags missing, where might those be? And another thing is, excuse me, I apologize for last week. I couldn't be there. I typically make these things, but I had something overlapping and over at the same time. So, but if you could tell me where we're missing the flags would be helpful.
Bob, I'll let you take that question, if you will.
Well, Madam Chair, when we were out there, the area where the applicant just pointed to, where he said, he went out and he saw the flags, they must have been put up between when we did our site visit and when he went out and looked, because it was very clear there were no flags out there when we were out there. And when I was there, when you and I were there previously in a previous site visit, I didn't see any wetlands flags, around the pond far to the back of the property. But of course, I haven't visited since that site visit, months ago. What I would be hoping, and I reiterate my posture, that wetlands flags should be hung on permanent stakes, not on vegetation or on fairly large trees, or shrubs, not on pieces of vegetation which, are gonna rot and be on the ground, by the end of the winter. And so, if it's, if we're being assured that all wetlands flags have been hung, then I would think, we could, do another site visit. To go out and take a look. But again, I go back to, there's been some significant changes, and I think we should be in the fact that, just the fact that there's been 15 years that have passed, and there's been extensive site work there since 2008. I think we need to have the wetlands, have the applicant redelineate the wetlands. And my position on that hasn't changed. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Bob.
Madam Chair,
Um,
just getting Kevin O'Brien for the record. I was out there with Whitman and Bingham, Haley and Ward now. The week before, the last week in December, in November. Because I went away to Florida the first week in December, and this is 2 weeks I've been back. That wetlands was flagged. I did that whole right side with the engineer from Haley Ward. The right side, let's say, call that going in on the property. We put almost 400 flags up that day. We went out with his instrument, and whatever wasn't still located, we relocated with the metal tags. Rich from Haley Ward went out the following 2 days and finished doing the wetlands on the left-hand side, which is those 5 series of, those 5 areas, probably 8 or 9 different series of flags. Those have been there. I didn't go out after you did the sidewalk. I want to make sure we're perfectly clear on that. Those were there. They're still there. I went there today myself, and I drove down Howard Street, and the flags are showing from Howard Street. So I want to make sure everyone understands that it wasn't something that I went out after the fact and did. So I just want to make sure that's clear. I heard something about the building inspector went out there with you. I don't know why the building inspector goes out on site walks with you for wetlands delineation. Maybe you can help me out and explain that to me, because I have no idea why that's something. I don't care if he wants to go out there and do it, that's entirely up to him, but what would be the reasoning for the building inspector having to go out there at the time the Conservation Commission goes out and looks at a delineation?
The building inspector is welcome to go out with us anytime he's interested.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Building inspector is welcome to go out with us on a site walk anytime he's interested.
Okay. I understand that. Or was there a reason that he went out to do the delineation with you on this?
We weren't doing a delineation. We were looking for the wetlands flags and doing a general site walk. And I don't know exactly. Brian, Bob, you have your hand up?
I'm gonna lower it.
Okay. Okay, I'll let Brian speak to that if he cares to.
Yeah, Brian Jingris, building commissioner. So I was up there for a few reasons. One, it's a potential project in the future. And there was a site walk going on, so to become familiar with where it is, what it is. I go on these. I've done several site walks in the last week alone. Second, there were concerns from neighbors about runoff, etc. And so I went up, hearing that there was a site walk. I requested permission to enter the property, which was given to me. So again, that's why I went up.
Okay.
One, to be familiar with it, and two, because we did have neighbor concerns that were coming to my office.
I've just never had the building inspector go out in any other cities or towns that I work in, that the building inspector goes out there as part of it. I'm not saying you can't go out there. By all means,
Okay.
You can come on anytime you'd like. While I'm talking to you, if you don't mind, Madam Chair, I would like to ask him a question about I heard something about the house that I took down out there. You don't have any problem with anything that was done with that?
No, actually, I do have a permit dating back, I think, a year ago for that house removal.
Correct. Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
So
clear on.
we're fine there. In
Okay.
terms of not seeing the building commissioner, most other towns, I tend to be a lot more active and out of the office. So you're gonna see me out and about a bit more than you may.
You're
for
not,
other
I'm not
communities.
complaining.
Okay.
I just, like I said, I have no other cities and towns that I deal with, have
Yeah.
the building inspector go out. I think that's very proactive of you, to tell you the truth.
Okay, so do we have any other questions or comments from other members of the commission?
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Okay, yeah, Bob, you have your hand up again.
Well, I,
There's no issue with you having your hand up again. I'm just
I know,
recognizing
and I
you again.
understand that,
Yeah.
and I'm struggling for words here because, Mr. Bryan says, no flags have been hung since, we conducted that site walk that day with Matt and, with Matt and, 3 members of the commission. But, we were in areas that clearly showed on the map as being wetlands. And there were 5 of us out there that day, and we searched very diligently and couldn't find any wetlands flags on what on the western side of the property. And so maybe we just missed them. But I still believe, and I would like to ask through you to the applicant, Madam Chair, have all wetlands flags been hung on stakes or on substantial pieces, of woody vegetation?
Kevin, how would you respond to that?
That's a question to me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm not sure. I would go out and look to verify that they are. I'm sure some of them are on grass or, fine twigs or something like that, but I would go out there before, if the board sets another site visit up, I would go out there beforehand with the stakes and make sure that those are put in so you can see them. And not on grass, so through the winter, the snow puts them down on the ground. That was one of the problems we had before. The ribbon that was put out there 6-8 months ago all disappeared. I don't know if it's deer eating it or they just dry up, or that's why we went out with the metal tags and put them on so they last a lot longer.
Yeah, I think we need to go out there and schedule another site visit. And I would request that this time, if for some reason, Kevin, you're not able to attend, that maybe you walk the property with Matt or somebody that will be there with us, so that we don't run into the same problem again.
Is that something you could set up tonight? Where you've got so many members on this meeting, is that doable?
I don't think that it is doable because folks would have to go and look at their calendars, and a lot of us have work schedules that are going to have to be juggled around for that. We'd have to do it offline. Bob, you have your hand raised. I'll recognize you.
Yeah, I would just suggest that if we're gonna do it, and schedule a site visit, that someone from Haley Ward come, because like Kevin was saying, that, the person, when he went out there with someone from Haley Ward, they had instruments with them so that they could, show where they were relative to the, locations of these wetlands flags. And I would think that might be helpful. It's just a suggestion, a recommendation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Bob. It's a decent suggestion. I'll recognize Matt Morrow. You have your hand raised.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just give me a second here. I'll lower it. Oh, it did lower. Okay, good. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll work with the office to set up a site inspection date. Prior to that date, I'll go out myself before anybody else does, with Kevin or with the surveyor or both, make sure everything is there. And then if there's anything missing, I'll make sure it gets rehung.
Thank you. And rehung on the on stakes or woody vegetation.
Stakes or a large branch.
Yeah.
Or tree
Very
trunk.
good. Very good. Okay. So are there any other questions from members of the commission or members of the public?
Madam Chair, could I ask a question? Kevin O'Brien again.
Yes, Kevin.
Am I part of the public or finish what you're doing?
You're the
I'm sorry.
applicant, so you're
Yeah.
certainly, yeah.
I just didn't want you to close the hearing. Well, I know you're not gonna close the hearing. You're gonna continue it more than likely. There's just two other things on the agenda I want to make sure I don't forget about because there's two more things on here, one for 318 Howard Street and another one that's under new business. And then there's something under enforcement for 390 Howard Street. I just want to see if maybe we can kill three birds with one stone while we're dealing with this public hearing.
No, we'll have to deal with those. We can prioritize them when we get to the routine business piece of the agenda, but we won't deal with those until we're done with the public hearings
Okay.
section. Fair ask, though. So I think we'll be looking for a continuation. The next meeting is going to be on January 3rd. I personally am going to be away most of next week, so would not be able to do any site walks next week. But I don't know what availability other members of the commission have for next week. So I'm looking for a suggestion from both Kevin and from the commission as to when we would like to have this continued to. Are other members of the commission available next week? And does that give Matt enough time to get out there? Bob,
If we
please,
can,
yes.
if we can get something out there, you know, I'll work on making it happen.
Thank you, Matt. Bob Pease.
Well, obviously, no one's doing any site visits on Monday. I would be available on the 26th or the 27th, and probably the morning of the 28th. I'll be out of the country from the 29th through the 6th, so I will not be at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
'27th, I'm pretty wide open.
As am I.
So if you guys could accomplish that on the 27th, then we could continue to the, well, we can't continue to the 3rd because Bob, you won't be here on the 3rd. Which sort of implies that maybe we would be recommending a continuance to the 17th. Should be the second meeting in January. Kevin and Matt, does that work for you?
I have no objection if my client doesn't.
I don't have any objections to that either, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I move we continue this hearing until the January 17th, 2024.
I
Second.
second. Mike?
Okay, I have a primary from Bob Pease and a second by Mike LaRouche. Roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Rich Birch,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
and I for myself. That presumably may take some pressure off on scheduling the site walk as well. We can handle that offline.
Well, it might make, but again, Kevin O'Brien, might make sense to still do the site visit where we don't have any snow on the ground right now either. So that's.
Good consideration.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Moving along, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Stephen McSweeney for the construction of a single-family home and associated site work at 255 Sunny Hill Road. Do we have Mr. McSweeney or his representative here on the call tonight?
I don't think they have a DEP number yet.
Yes, Stephen McSweeney right now. So that is correct. We do not. We had previously corresponded to not be on the hearing agenda for tonight. I'm not sure how that got confused, but we don't have a DEP number. We are seeking to not be put back on the agenda until we do have a DEP number.
And the way that works is we put you on for the next meeting so that if you do get a DEP number, you can appear, but since you don't have a DEP number, Madam Chair, if I may, I'll make a motion that we continue until
The third?
January 3rd.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, it's Bob and Chris St. Germain. We'll go for a roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Rich Birch,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
and I for myself. Continued to January the 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we had a similar request for 171 Arbor Street, but that's a different engineering firm. I'll go ahead and read it in. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws. A public hearing on a notice of intent by Steve Powell for the construction of a single family and associated site work at 171 Arbor Street. And Sophie, I think I saw this afternoon an email asking that that be continued based on the applicant still working with NHESP and answering their questions.
Yes, I believe I can confirm that.
I can definitely confirm it. I'm looking at it.
Thank you. So since the applicant's already requested a continuance, do we have a motion on the floor for continuance?
So moved.
Second.
So I think that was Mike and Rich.
Yes. Rich had the
Thank
second.
you.
Yes.
All right, roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Rich Birch,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
and I for myself. Okay, moving along. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws. A public hearing on a request for determination by Timrick Realty Trust for construction of a single-family home and septic tank at 20 Kilburn Street, Lot 1. Do we have these applicants or their representatives on the call tonight? I think we received some extra documentation from these applicants, but I don't recall seeing a request for continuation. But I could have overlooked it. The next three properties are 20 Kilburn Street, lots. It's lot 1, 2, and 3. So in absence of the applicants being here, do we have a proposal from the commission to continue these to January 3rd?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, that's we'll capture the motion from Rich Birch and the second by Chris St. Germain. And we'll do a roll call vote. Bob Pease,
Aye.
Rich Birch,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. Okay, it's continuing to January 3rd. So do I have to read them all in individually and then we vote on each one individually, or can we do them together since they're all supported by the same and the applicants are all the same? Who's
You
our
have to
process
open
person?
You have to open each hearing specifically.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws. A public hearing on a notice of intent by Timrick Realty Trust for the construction of a single-family home and septic tank at 20 Kilburn Street, Lot 2. And do we have the applicant or their representatives here on the call tonight? And again, I am hearing no one. In absence of the applicant, do we have a motion on the floor to continue this hearing?
So moved. Rich Birch.
Second.
Okay, motion by Rich Birch and a second by Chris St. Germain. We'll do a roll call vote. Bob Pease,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
Rich Birch,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. Continue that hearing to January 3rd. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Timmerick Realty Trust for the construction of a single-family home and septic tank at 20 Kilburn Street, Lot 3. And do we have these applicants on the call tonight or their representative? In absence of the applicants or the representative on the call tonight, do I have a motion by the commission to continue this hearing to January 3rd?
So moved.
Second.
Rich Birch, Chris St. Germain. Roll call vote, Bob Pease,
Aye.
Michael LaRouche,
Aye.
Rich Birch,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. Okay, thank you. Now we'll move into the business section of the agenda. And I did have a couple of topics that just came up this afternoon that I wanted to bring to the attention of the Conservation Commission. So with the departure of our friend Rich Tremblay from the commission, we also lost our stormwater task force representative. So right now, the stormwater task force is looking for us to appoint a Conservation Commission representative. So do we have any member that is willing to be our representative with that group? I know Rich had been the chair actually, but I don't think it's required, nor is anybody asking for the Conservation Commission representative to be the chair, but just to participate. I know everybody's dance card is pretty full.
I would just say, Mary, the last time we had a vacancy, none of the present commissioners were willing to do it, and the new member volunteered, which was Rich Tremblay. So maybe we could repeat that.
Yeah. We'll see. Maybe we have opportunities, right?
Yeah.
With the vacancy as well.
So I'm advocating we kick the can down the road.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. And then I also wanted to introduce the topic of the legal ad process, because that seems to be a challenge right now. And the thing that I'm unclear on in terms of office process, and maybe one of the commissioners knows, maybe Sophie knows, what is the process for funding those legal ads? Is it the commission pays for the legal ads, or is it the applicant pays directly for those legal ads? Bob, I'll call on you.
For over a year now, we've been asking the applicants to submit a separate check directly to the Lunenburg Ledger to pay for the legal ads. Because what was happening before was if we had a busy year, what was happening before was the applicants would write a check to the town of Lunenburg for the legal ad, which was deposited into the general fund. But the advertisements were paid out of the office budget for the land use department. So if we had a busy year, the land use department, didn't have any budget left, because they had a busy year and it made no sense. So we made a change about I think it was over a year and a half ago, or so, that we asked the applicants to write their checks directly to, the Lunenburg Ledger. So therefore, it's a mystery to me, why now all of a sudden we can't place an ad with the Lunenburg Ledger. The only thing that I can think of is that perhaps some of the other departments that place legal ads, like the Select Board, the Zoning Board of Appeals, those are the two other groups that usually place legal ads. Maybe they haven't paid for their ads, and so they're not accepting any ads from town departments. But so that I don't understand why we're in this predicament, number one. And number two, I think we should explain this to applicants and offer applicants the option of placing their legal ad in the Sentinel. However, the Sentinel costs substantially more. I don't know how much more. I know it's substantially more than the Lunenburg Ledger. And from my point of view, it's a lot less effective because it reaches a much smaller audience of people within Lunenburg. And that's all I know about it, and that's all the opinions I have about it.
Thank you for that, Bob. Yeah,
Matt is more intimately familiar with this, so he may
yeah, I just had a few comments to make. So I would be concerned about going to the Sentinel because I think it reaches fewer people in Lunenburg, and also people in Lunenburg are used to seeing those ads in the Ledger. So doing it in a different media forum without somehow letting the public know would, I think, create a bad impression with people that somewhere somebody was trying to keep this information out of the view of the public, and we wouldn't want to do anything there that cause people to be skeptical of our motives. Matt, I'll call on you.
Thank you. Yeah, when I basically lived it, a lot of what would happen, we would get checks written to the town for the legal ad for the $40. That would be deposited back in that time. There was actually a category where I would deposit the $40 as legal ad fees, but they would, like the vice chair was saying, go right into the general fund. So when I was the administrator, I would often have experience where we have a really busy year and I'd have to constantly do transfers from other parts of the budget to the advertising budget. But I remember at one point, prior to Sophie and Anna being aboard, when Nadia was aboard, there was a point where she would write the ad to the Lunenburg Ledger, schedule it with the Ledger, and the Ledger would send you an email with a link to pay online right to the applicant. And a lot of communities are doing it this way. They will write up the legal ad, send it to the paper, send it to you, and then you would have to pay by a certain date to the paper. Otherwise, your ad would not get in. And if it didn't run, then you were on your own. You'd have to go to the next deadline. I do part-time agents work in Westminster, and what they do, they advertise with the Gardner News. So what they do there is they write up the legal ads, put all the applicants' contact information on it, send it to both the Gardner, like in one shot, send it to both the Gardner News and all of the applicants by email. And they put a statement on there to the applicant saying you have to make payment arrangements with the Gardner News by this date so it can run on this date, or you cannot have your hearing. And a lot of communities are doing it that way too. They either call up and make the payment over the phone, or there is an online link that's provided by the paper where you pay online. And I know I did that with the Ledger, but then the procedure changed again. And if that could be made like something with the Ledger, it probably would make it both easier on the Ledger to collect their payments and on Sophie without constantly having to nanny the deadline. Because that's a lot of work. And, you guys got a lot to do. So that's just my experiences as of the last year and a half with what I've seen from other communities.
Thank you, Matt. It's good, good input. And Sophie, do you have any additional information about the problem with the legal ads?
Unfortunately, I don't. After Ashley left, she sent out that email to try to figure out the root cause of this issue. And I have yet to hear back. I've only heard back, obviously, from commission. Kind of minorly discussed it with Bob, and the only thing that I can speak to, and I can back up Matt Morrow with the streamline process that Gardner is doing, because that's the way I was doing it, is through that. They have like an online system now where it seems a lot easier and more streamlined and straightforward to do it that way, and probably less errors and less room for errors and payment issues. But speaking of the issue that we're having now, I don't have any more input for that at this moment.
Okay. And would it be possible for you to call the ledger and see if you can understand the root cause and maybe propose the process similar to what you were using in Gardner?
Yeah, I can do that. I can see if they're even doing that as an option. I know with Gardner it was super helpful, so if we could try to make some sort of switch to that, it would be good, a good move.
Yeah, that would be cool. And I think talking to them may get you a better get us a better understanding of what the root cause problem is as well.
I think also requesting, well, I believe Ashley was requesting some sort of statement or something showing exactly which payments were missed, and not just an email saying, "Oh, you missed the payments. We can't post anything." So hopefully a breakdown will help us solve it quicker.
Yeah, exactly. It's easier to come up with a solution when we know what the problem is that we're trying to solve.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yep.
So the next thing on the agenda is sponsored by Bob. You were requesting that we take a formal vote authorizing you to write a commitment letter to MRPC Trails Vision Grant with up to $1,000 or 8 hours of GIS time.
And Mary, that's no longer needed. Heather has already written the grant. The GIS time for 2024 is not ours to give. It belongs to the planning board. The planning board already had a consensus discussion. Based on that consensus, because by the way, the last time this came up, no one indicated any interest. And so we weren't going to participate in this grant. And it occurred to me afterwards, like, well, first of all, MRPC is going to do the work, not us. Second of all, this won't be happening until 2025. You know, a lot can happen between now and 2025. We should at least put our hat in the ring, you know, so we can participate, you know, and get the benefit of this grant, you know, rather than, you know, have it, you know, because the grant came in at a time when everyone was busy and no one wanted to step up. So I guess at this point we can convert this agenda item just into a FYI for the commission that I put the town in for the grant, and Heather wrote the operational letter.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Bob. Any questions or comments from other members of the commission? And Bob, I appreciate you having the foresight to not let that opportunity go and escape us. So thank you for that. Okay, moving along. This is one that I sponsored, Earth Day events planning. Last year, you guys will recall, we partnered with the Parks Commission and hosted a month of events, we called our, Lunenburg Earth Day events. Last year when we were doing that, I was not the chair. And I had a lot more free time as a result. And had hoped to start doing some planning this time, before the holidays. But I've not had any free time. I spent a little bit of time talking to Anna Lockwood about it. She also has been prioritized with the Marshall Park initiative that the Parks Commission is sponsoring, and that's going to take a lot of her free time as well. So I would like to get permission from the commission to at least socialize the opportunity and see if we could encourage some members of the public to raise their hand and maybe form a work group would be really helpful, so that we could take advantage of doing something similar in 2024. I don't know if other folks had thoughts or concerns about soliciting members of the public to volunteer and help with coordination and planning Earth Day events. Okay, I'm not hearing any comments, so we will move along. Any update on title searches, Bob?
What happened to 318 Howard? It's on my agenda.
Is it before the old business?
It says it puts it in new business. I don't know what it's
Well-
doing there, but it's there, and we told Mr. O'Brien, we
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
we
No,
can't get
that's
up at the appropriate time, so.
it wasn't in my draft that I sent back, so that's why I didn't have it. I was going by
Oh.
that.
It's in the one that I downloaded off of the town website, so.
Yeah, fair enough. I wasn't aware that there had been any changes to the one that I had sent back, so fair enough. Yeah, 318 Howard. Let's talk about that since that's on the agenda for now. And Sophie or Bob, can you kind of orient me to what the topic of dialogue is here? Is that the house that's at the frontage at Howard Street?
I believe, but I'm not sure. That refers to, we had complaints from neighbors of siltation in streams coming off of that property, and we were talking about trying to arrange a site walk to the downstream neighbors to look at this evidence of siltation downstream. And the stream that comes off of the southwestern corner of the property and heads down towards Pearl Brook. I believe that's what that's about, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, so we had 318 on enforcement violations and hearings this summer just because a resident had called it in. But we had
I believe that's 390. We had a resident that sent in a bunch of pictures in the of water flowing off the property onto the street that was full of silt, but and so it was put on the agenda under 390 Howard Street under enforcement, but when we went out and looked, there are no wetlands and it's not jurisdictional, and I'm not quite sure why that's still on the agenda.
Yeah, let me just share what I have, right? So this is the Mass Mapper online application. This is 318. And the parcel in the back, I think, is titled to 390. So 318 was the one that I received some complaints about this summer with siltation flowing off of the property and flowing into the storm drains. There's a storm drain here. There's a storm drain down the way a little bit. There was silt flowing down there. And so that's the one, Bob, that I thought we went out and looked at. It didn't have any wetlands in it. So is that what you were just thinking?
And I had it reversed. I was thinking, I had it reversed. I was thinking that the property you just pointed at was 390. And that should no longer be on the agenda because there are no wetlands there. It's not in our jurisdiction.
Yeah, and I was thinking that's what we had determined this summer, that it wasn't
Yeah,
in our
and,
jurisdiction.
I was thinking, we have, neighbors, to down by, in the Pearl Brook area who owned a pond and stuff, and they were complaining, about siltation. And so, really, the address shouldn't be 318 Howard. It should be, these other properties that are downstream. About going out to look at those to see, are they laden with silt or are they not, kind of thing. So
Yeah, fair enough.
really, it
Okay.
should, that, as far as I know, it should have nothing to do with Mr. O'Brien's parcels, although it may come back to that, but at the moment, it should have to do with going to look at these other parcels and other places, where people are complaining that silt's coming down, and originating, at the top of the hill.
Okay, so 318 is an unfortunate, Howard Street is an unfortunate typo. And then directly across from that on our agenda, 390 Howard, you're thinking that we should be tracking that under the complainant's addresses.
Yep.
Okay.
Madam Chair, may I speak?
Yes, please. Is that Kevin?
Yes, Kevin, yes. Just to make it clear, 318 Howard Street is the house exactly where you pointed to. 318 Howard Street is the house that I own out there. I put a septic system in that property in the past couple of months. Of course, let's face it, all we had was rain this year. When we were pumping out the septic area, we were putting it into a grass swale. Did a little brown water go down the street? Of course it did. We controlled that. I heard something about Pearl Brook way down the new West Townsend Road. People were complaining down there. There's nothing got down there. I followed it down to the next catch basin, which is in front of Randy Shattuck. God rest his soul, he passed away a couple of weeks ago. Which is right out in front of what we're calling 390 Howard Street, which is where the road goes into the subdivision. So that's where the 390 comes in. There's a catch basin out there that people were complaining about that getting silt. It didn't get any silt. Even if it did, it goes down to another catch basin at the end of Shattuck's driveway, the other side of Shattuck's driveway. He had a U-shaped driveway. There's a catch basin there, and then it goes across the street and comes out into the wetlands. I walked down there a couple of different times while we were doing the septic system just to see if any erosion was going down there, and it wasn't. Even that you have no jurisdiction over it, it makes sense to keep an eye on it. But I was keeping an eye on it. The only issue that we're going to have, or not issue, but the other area that people were talking about was where the roadway goes in, which is 390, which is considered 390. If you go out there, when we go out there for the site visit, if people want to look at that, there's probably a 3 to 4 foot drop from the road down in off to the property. So there's no water comes up over that berm at all, even with all the water we've had this year. So I don't know what they're complaining about. And I've been watching it. I know the guy that lives right next door to that. I pay attention to his yard. And so I don't know what, that's why I wanted to just ask you about what was going on with those two areas. That's my explanation to it.
Thank you, Kevin.
No problem.
Okay, I think that resolves the for now anyway, the two agenda topics that were your properties, 318 and 390 Howard. You're
All right.
welcome to stay on if that's your pleasure.
Can I just say one more thing? I know I'm taking a lot of your time tonight, but with regards to your advertising fees, every other city in town does it exactly what Matt said. You put an ad together, you send it to you as the town sends it to the paper, they give you a price, and if I or the person, the applicant, doesn't pay it, they don't get on the meeting. It's that simple. It eliminates a lot more aggravation for you guys. Just food for thought. every other city in town that I deal with, from Lowell to Andover to Dracut, Methuen, Tewksbury, all have you pay the fee. Oh, they
And thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. It sounds more straightforward. But thank you for that.
I'm gonna leave you. Thank you all. Thank you for your time, and I hope you all enjoy the holidays, and let's see what happens next week with getting together for the site visit.
Thank you. Moving
you
along
very-
on the
Merry
agenda.
Christmas, guys.
Thank you very much.
Christmas.
Thank you. Same to you all. Bye-bye.
Under old business, Bob, updates on title searches?
No.
And any updates on MACC membership? So I have access to the handbook. I know Chris has confirmed he has access to the handbook. The question and the thing I've not had time to go in and confirm is if we want to do training, are we able to do training at the membership price, or are we not recognized there still? Has anybody had an opportunity to go into the website and confirm access there or membership recognition there?
I have not, but I have time now that I'm on break from work, so I was planning to put some time in so I can get back to you on that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd be interested in hearing Chris.
Mary,
Yes, Rich.
I believe that the town did pay for the membership for the active members. I had donated for both the membership fee for the members and the MAC handbook for the members, and received a call a couple days later that they received the check from the town for the membership for the members. So I only ended up donating for the MAC handbook for everybody. But we should be recognized as members. They did confirm that the town paid.
Yeah, and I got a email for the MAC handbook right after you said that you had sponsored that for us, and thank you, by the way. But I've not received any similar email that tells me how to create a new account in the just the MACC interface. And I haven't spent enough time poking around. Most of the time I'm in between meetings, I have like an extra 5 minutes and that's it. I turn into a pumpkin. But I've not been successful getting a login reestablished for just the MACC, educational page and whatnot. So yeah, so hopefully it's just a matter of, having more than 5 minutes, in between meetings to figure it out. But I am interested in the training. I'm interested in doing, some of the classes that, we only had to do 8 to get the MACC, new commissioner certification or whatever they call it. But there are several that I didn't have a chance to take. And then there were a couple that I wanted to also sit in again, because now that I've been practicing for a year and a half, I have more questions and more examples to ask questions of the training staff on. Did we get a confirmation on Munis accounts that the staff have access to those now? It seems like maybe Ashley is now able to transact and process our invoices on Munis. Bob, do you know?
The last I saw, it seemed that it was possible that Ashley was submitting, but it's not confirmed that it actually was submitting requisitions, but that they weren't getting approved at the department head level because no one's filling Adam's job.
Oh.
And so they weren't going through. And while someone was monitoring Adam's email, it's not Ann. Ann has no access to Adam's email. And no one, I don't, it seemed possible, but I'm not sure that no one
Seems like
was filling the role of the department head, and so that it was getting stuck. You know,
so
requisitions were
there's
getting
a missing approver in the workflow.
stuck in the workflow, but I don't know that for a fact. I do know that it seems like there are some continuing issues. Sophie spends a lot more time than Ashley with Ashley than I do. She may know something more, or it could be Sophie pays attention to what Sophie has to pay to and lets Ashley worry about this other stuff. So I'm not sure.
Sophie, do you have anything to add?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry.
Yeah, fair enough.
While I am on though, I was, if I may, I believe, I'm not sure if you would want to skip around it all because we do have other applicants on the agenda for the enforcement. Or if, I was just wondering if that was an option.
Oh yeah, it is an option. I was going to get to the end of old business and then try to prioritize the
Okay.
folks that are still on the call.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a
Thank
good
you.
suggestion. Thank you, Sophie. Okay. So I'll try to follow up with Ashley about where if she's seeing her request get approved or if they're getting stuck somewhere. And if they're getting stuck somewhere, I'll just escalate it to Heather and Julie to get it resolved. Yes, Rich.
I did just log into my Mac account. It says I'm active through June 30th, 2024.
Oh, excellent. Good news. Oh, and you logged into it. Did you have to renew it or anything, or you just your old credentials worked?
Just my old credentials worked fine.
Weird. Okay. Because mine definitely were not working, but that points more to a user experience than anything else. So thank you for that confirmation.
It could also be because our email domain changed from to lunenburgma.gov.
Well, mine has always been lunenburgma.gov. I never got the old domain created. Yeah.
Well, then there goes that explanation.
It was a good try. All right, educational ads for residents. That I think is still on the back burner. We have to do the web presence cleanup before we can do that. But I think one of the things that I kind of wanted to and was missing from my notes from last time is what kind of target date do we think that we should be shooting for in terms of having the web presence kind of ironed out, at least so that we can do the QR code and get that brochure updated with a QR code? Because we were thinking the June timeframe, I think. So that would mean we would need to have the brochure ready to go, what, 2 months earlier, 3 months earlier?
Yeah, let's shoot for March.
March? Okay, well, I'll make that as a target then. End of month March?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. And then posting a bylaw brochures in town offices, which was an action that we gave Sophie, but I know Sophie's got a ton of backlog that she's been working through. That may not be, the thing that's come up in the priority. Sophie, what are your thoughts around that, or what are your updates around that?
I do agree that it should definitely be on the list as a priority. Not super on the top of the list, but I do agree that it's important to have that information out there for people. Otherwise, if it's not there, nobody knows it exists, and we want people to have resources. So I do agree it's important, though. but
Okay,
I
well,
haven't
I'm-
I haven't made any headway on it whatsoever as of now.
I'm gonna leave it on the agenda just as a reminder, right?
Mhm.
And then you can update us when you kind of get through the most critical things and then move, more into managing routine business things.
Sounds good.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, with that, I think we're going to move. I think we have some folks on that are here for encroachments. Do we have anybody? Please raise your hand if you're here for other topics besides encroachment. I'm saying encroachment. I mean enforcement violation, enforcement actions and hearings. So is anybody here for something other than that? Please raise your hand, or you can speak up if you can't find the raise your hand icon. Okay. So we'll start out. I think with 711 Mass Ave.
Corinne Jones just raised her hand.
Corinne. Yeah. Thank you, Bob. Corinne. Yeah. What was the topic that you were here for?
Oh, sorry. I'm just here for the 123 Hollis Road.
2-3 Hollis Road.
I think it's like the last thing on the agenda.
Well, I don't even see 123 Hollis Road on the agenda.
It's it just says Hollis Road residents.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, there we go.
I can
Very
wait
good.
though. It's okay.
All right.
No big deal.
Yeah, I was looking for the numbers. So
Yeah,
that
that's
was
okay. No worries.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. So with that, we'll go ahead and go to 711 Mass Ave and talk about any updates there on the violations that were brought up previously.
Yeah, this
Ed.
is Matt Nolan here, representing myself and Stephen McSweeney for 711 Mass Ave.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Yeah, we're just
And-
here tonight to try and lift the cease and desist and or enforcement order. We've hired a wetlands scientist to go out and design a plan to Sophie's liking and seeing if we can proceed action.
Okay, and Sophie, you've been out to that site again?
Yes, I was out there today.
Okay, and what have we what was your assessment of the site?
So initially, I realized that the entrance to the site was relocated to it looks like what was on the original plan, with a bunch of crushed stone. I don't know the technical term for it. There were a bunch of crushed rocks there to stabilize that area. And there was the mulch that was previously discussed to stabilize the areas that are closest to the erosion controls throughout the site. So starting when you enter on the left and working the way all the way around, there's mulch there. And I took pictures and put them on the Google Shared Drive for everyone to view as well.
Do you have the ability of sharing any of those photos now?
Yep. Yeah, just give me 1 second. Okay. And I'm completely blanking on how to request screen sharing.
There should be like a green icon with an arrow on it
Oh, yep,
somewhere.
yep. It's always so obvious. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So there is one of the pictures, I believe, is the, if you're looking at the site from Mass Ave, it's towards the back right corner, past the silt fence. There's a little bit of mulching, and then a very large pile of mulch, and then kind of off to the right of the mulch, off of this photo here, is kind of a tall ramp-like pile of soil. And here is a picture of the same area from me standing on top of that mound. Here's a picture of one of the flags that wasn't visible in that location prior, but it was there today. There's multiple flags probably to make it more visible, but there's at least one flag with the actual numbering and lettering corresponding there as well. But as you can see, it's not a stake. I think it was just a broken off limb that was used for that. And that's standing on some of the stabilization mulch. And I believe this is part of the spout that leads underground to one of the catch basins. This was clearly flowing pretty heavily, and it appeared that there was some kind of like thick, I want to say kind of like it's almost like a weed block material placed on top of the riprap here. And then there was water kind of going through it. It wasn't quite holding it all the way, and so it was kind of bypassing the erosion control here. And on the other side of the silt fence, you can see the water coming from that outpouring area and flowing above ground into the wetland area. I don't know where that picture is. It's in here somewhere, but skipping around, this is the area that was disturbed. It was reflagged over here, and these are the ruts going in. And another angle of the disturbed area. Again, with mulching on the side. And maybe the other images weren't uploaded. I was using the malfunctioning iPad to take these photos, so it wouldn't surprise me if they somehow didn't get uploaded. But I can try to upload that if you would like to continue discussion.
Thank you, Sophie.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be great. And the erosion control and the established limit of work, is that consistent with the drawings from your assessment?
So the erosion controls are very, very much similar to the original drawings now. It's somewhat still kind of changed from what I saw, but they did close off and stop using that other entrance. So that upper right corner is it's kind of foggy to me in terms of what was there prior and whether it matches up with the plan that it was supposed to follow. There's just been so much movement, so.
Okay, thank you for that.
Mhm.
And so, if I understood you correctly, you're also saying the water that's flowing off of the property is bypassing the erosion control. The erosion control is not stopping it.
Correct. It's correct. But it's not super substantial as it's flowing rapidly, but there is a flow to it. So it doesn't seem like it's seeping up through the ground. I think it's going directly underneath maybe by an inch below the erosion control itself.
Okay, thank you. And has the applicant provided any proposal to correct the damage to the 30-foot no-touch zone?
Yes, they provided a plan, a narrative in a detailed plan. And I believe that was also uploaded either in the Google Drive or the as a attachment of some sort, or in the Ashley might have put it in the upcoming meeting folder.
So, Matt, are you in a position to discuss the proposal to correct the damage to the 30-foot zone?
Sure, yeah. We have a narrative here. Restoration plan drawn up by Three Oaks Environmental, Marianne DePinto. She's a professional wetland scientist. There's some detailed pictures here. We did have Haley Ward go out, restake the correct location of the silt fence. So the silt fence is in the correct position all around. All of the wetlands flags were rehung and survey located. And we did have a restoration plan here on how much of the resource area was disturbed and how much of the excuse me, the wetland area was disturbed, and proper way to properly seed it and maintain the area so it revegetates itself.
Did you have a plan that you could share with us, or?
I gave that to Sophie last week. I don't have
Okay.
the ability to upload the.
I can share it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, all set.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, let's go to the assessment of the damage to the area. Okay,
If I'm not in the right
so
spot, just let me know.
no, that's I actually I'm just going to read it. Following activities have occurred since the cease and desist was issued last week. Wetlands flags have been reestablished by the Haley Ward survey crew. The area of 1,700 square feet of altered no disturb zone have been measured by the survey crew. The wetland altered, the area of wetland altered 307 square foot by the equipment trucks during the site clearing has been determined by the survey. Wood chips have been spread on the side slopes. Erosion controls were reinstalled where needed. Adjustment to the location. A portion of the line will be requested as it doesn't fit the land contour and proposed work properly. And then the following recommendations, recommendations have been made. Remove the ruts within the wetland, rake the soil, spread the wetland, FACW, wet meadow seed mix, which requires overwintering cold and then direct sunlight in the spring to germinate. The seed mix specs are attached. The altered buffer strip had numerous thick vines of invasive Asian bittersweet. Remove the remaining stems from the surface of the altered area by raking and overseed with upland wildlife food and shelter seed mix. Seeding will need to wait until spring since the upland seeds may not germinate after freezing. Okay. Yeah, let's see what else is in the proposal, Sophie. Okay, thank you for that. Oh, Sophie, actually, we go back to that drawing and just kind of point out where the water's flowing through the silt barrier relative to this drawing.
That area is not
It's
shown up.
it's kind of
that far.
yeah, it's a
Up
little
there
bit
where her cursor
further
is
up.
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Currently a makeshift detention pond that my site contractor installed. Thankfully, because without that, it'd be a gigantic mess. Yeah, it's just slowly wicking out. That's actually just an emergency spillway, so that's why we're asking to release the cease and desist so we continue progress and make this a safe and happy work site.
Thank you for that, Matt. Sophie, if you would just continue through the proposal. Okay, thank you. Keep going. Okay, very good. Okay, I'll open the floor to other members of the commission if they have questions, comments. And I think my concern is the spillway, right? That seems to be escaping the erosion control. Seems like that needs to be corrected.
Yeah, the only way to correct that is to allow me to work on this site so I can continue. Because like I said, that's an emergency spillway. So there's a couple catch basins, an infiltrator basin, a forebay. There's a lot more site work that needs to happen on this site. So all that water does not enter that emergency spillway. So once, everything was designed correctly, it will operate correctly.
Matt, do you have the drawings for the original, the approved
Again, I have them in front of me. I'm limited with technology. But if Sophie has the ability to bring them on now on a computer here, I could guide you guys through it. I have a set in front of me.
Yeah, I'm just wondering the project that's approved, what the proposed containment is. Would it be the site development or the NOI that we would go to, Matt?
I would say site development. That wouldn't be in the notice. We can try site development. The next one down. There you go. I believe it's page 5. If you go to.
Nope. Let me try this way.
Yeah, that one right there. Oh, this one will work too. Yep, that one.
Yeah, okay. Where's the catch basin on the drawing? That we were
So
just talking
currently,
about?
the water, yeah, right where a cursor is, there's a big
Right here.
detention basin. You can see the proposed riprap emergency spillway is kind of halfway installed right now. And then there's just a pipe with a valve to slowly let the water out. If it wasn't there, it would just be demolishing that silt fence. So that's an emergency spillway. So if you go back up to the center of the plane here, you'll see a proposed storm scepter, a 4-bay, and then a riprap. Everything just supposed to slowly trickle down into this emergency spillway.
Okay, and the escapes are happening now because the
There's just so
catch
much
basin.
volume. Correct. There's so much volume, and then we just started the site work, so we need time to install the rest of the drainage so it'll function properly.
Okay, so correcting that that catch basin would be one of the first actions that you undertake.
100%. Yeah, it's in our special permit that all the site work, the storm scepter has to be installed, and all the drainage installed before a building permit will be issued. So that's our first task, which we started doing. And we do have that storm scepter sitting at my site contractor's his shop right now, waiting to be installed.
Okay. So if we send Sophie out, if we let you continue work, if we sent Sophie out in 2 weeks' time, we won't still be having escapes from the silt fence. Is what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, again, granted, we don't get another 6 inches of rain in 2 weeks. But yeah, 100%. Just let us finish. The proposed drainage so it'll function properly, and then we won't have any washouts or anything.
Okay. All right. I don't have any further questions. Are there any other questions by members of the commission? I think I'm looking for either questions or motions.
Yeah, I motion we lift the cease and desist and let him install that proposed storm scepter. I think the sooner he gets that in, it'd be better for the land.
And do we have a second on that, or do people have other questions or concerns?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Bob. Then we'll go for a roll call vote. Rich,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
and I for myself.
Okay.
That's approval to lift the cease and desist. The restoration plan you're now on record for, which includes the corrective actions on the damaged area and the seeding
Yep.
to overwinter.
Yep. Okay. So we'll take care of that. So the way I interpret this was the cease and desist is lifted, but the enforcement order is still active until we plant.
Correct.
Okay. So we can continue work tomorrow.
Correct.
All righty.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Okay, moving along. 780 Northfield Road, which is Pierce's tree farm. I don't think, and Sophie, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you've had an opportunity to reach out to that owner yet?
No, I have not.
Okay. We already talked about 390 Howard Street. We're just tracking 205 Sunset, 10 Mass Ave. Do we have any status updates there? And that would be from you, Sophie, which may very well be no updates, but
Yeah, I can confirm there is nothing on that.
okay. And then 1168 Mass Ave rear, that's also probably one you haven't had a chance to look at yet.
Also correct.
Okay, very good. All right, I'm going to go back over to the encroachment issues, which I don't know that we have updates on, but just going through the agenda, 950 Chase Ave, any updates there?
Yes, informally, I met with, town council and, the town manager. They said the next step would be to get a, price, to see, you know, what would be the cost of removing the shed, and, the other materials, that were on conservation land. And town manager authorized me to speak with, Chris Ruth about that, our facilities manager. And he is a crackerjack guy. He's already had somebody out there. And it's my understanding it's gonna be, in the neighborhood of $9,000. And so after, you know, we have that price, you know, on behalf of the commission, I'll go back and speak with the town manager in, council again about, you know, well, now that we know what we're talking about, you know, what are our next steps? I guess I missed it, but I guess in the communications from our council, there was a stipulation, that the owners are representing themselves in court. And they stipulated that we could cross their land, you know, to remove, the shed. I should share that with the entire commission. I apologize for not doing that yet. I gotta go find it because I wasn't aware it existed until a town manager and town council called it to my attention. But that's the update on that. And until, you know, our office catches up and has a chance to reach out to, the people on, Lancaster, there won't be any updates on that one.
Okay, thank you for that, Bob.
Chris St. Germain has his hand up.
Chris, yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to understand, do you have any idea, Bob, how they arrived at $9,000 to remove a shed?
Well, it's more than a shed, Chris.
It's kind of like a garage, yeah.
It's a small barn
Okay, okay,
or a large shed.
okay, thanks. That's all I need to know. Because I've moved sheds with my tractor and I'm like, I didn't realize it was that.
No, it's not like one of those things you get down at Home Depot or Lowe's.
Okay,
No,
thank you.
this is a built in place. It's way too big to be called big to be called really for me to be calling it a shed.
Okay,
It's a fairly substantial, I mean, you'd have to if you were gonna try to move it, you'd have to hire one of those house movers to move it. You know, and,
it's not a shed. Okay, thank
yeah,
you.
we're talking about demolition and removal.
Okay, thank you.
Fair question, Chris, thanks. Yeah, Bob?
No, I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, so let's just move along. I think we're still tracking the order of conditions for 932 Flat Hill Road. Sophie, I think that's probably one that you're going to have to dig in to, and will take some time because there were a number of hearings about that. And I think those meeting minutes are also listed in the numerous ones in arrears still. Certificates of compliance, I'm still tracking 176 Elmwood Road and 81 Maple Parkway. but I don't know if anybody's contacted the office asking for closure recently. Sophia, does it?
Nobody has, yeah, nobody from that have, nobody has come to me for those specifically that I can recall. There's been plenty of others that have been coming in,
Mhm.
but not to those that I can recall.
Okay, well, we're just going to manage those as routine business, and you'll get to them when you can, unless somebody comes in and asks for a different priority.
Mhm.
Okay, so we've already done the enforcements. We'll go over to open space and land use. I don't have any updates on the. Oh yeah, I do have an update on the one that the commission sponsored. The award year is this year. We got all the contracts, instruments signed. Heather's returned those to Mass Trails to the administrator. So the next action is mine to go in and do the grant, the online grant initiation forms, which I'll do next week. And then we should be in a position, Bob, to get, as soon as we get the contract, we should be in a position to get start going through the formal quote process.
And
to
I
get engineering
started on
firms.
that months ago. And I dropped it, and I'll have to pick that back up again.
Thank you for your help on that. The Lunenburg Snow Rider sponsored grant, I don't have any updates since our last meeting on that one. Conservation land improvements. I had a couple of updates. Bob, you might have an update too. We just had some more trails worked on and trail marking done in Table Rock Conservation Area. One of the young men that was part of the Lunenburg National Honor Society and had participated with the invasive bittersweet removal down at the Lane property, he actually approached me afterwards and said, "Hey, I'd like to go earn a few more hours and do some trail marking." So I think all of our blue trails in the Table Rock area are now marked, and we got another section of green trail marked in there, and he marked all of that up on a map for me, so I have that ongoing. And I know, Bob, I walked down in the Lane property a lot. I was just down there again tonight, and you have been doing a lot of great work with